You're officially reinstated this summer, eligible to coach once again. You ready to go or what?
I look forward to it, the opportunity at some point. Well, it's been a long time here watching games and, watching different teams evolve over the last 2 or 3 years, seeing a lot of different changes in organizations. And, the team I was with last year had a couple of really nice runs. Nice to see some of those guys win a championship. But I'd like to get back. I mean, I'm at a point in my career where not much time left, and I'd love to go at it again soon.
Q, I'm sure that will happen sooner than later. And when it does, you get your hands on a new team, and that's the situation Craig Berube's finding himself in. What's your strategy or philosophy as far as how much time you give it to, implement your new systems and let some of your philosophies take hold with a new group?
Well, I think that it's a good question, though. But I think initially you come in there, I think you want to get your system going here, be it in training camp or in the middle of a season. I think you're going to have to take what they were doing in the past and kind of the familiarity of systems is very close to coaches or to teams. In the middle of the season, you can adjust whether it's your forecheck, your neutral zones. That stuff. You can tweak a little bit as you go along. Major changes could take a little bit longer. I think players are smart. They adapt as quicker than you think. And I think that, you got line combinations, you got personality, you got ice time allocations, you got a lot of different things you got to go through. And eventually that gets sorted out basically on performance. And a lot of times that makes the decisions for you. And as far as all the pre-planning you like to do, you like to say, oh, we're going to do this, this, and that. But more on a merit basis, that makes that decision.
As a head coach, what's the hardest part about the transition when you take on a new team?
The hardest part is probably getting acclimated to, personalities. And then but I think that, we've been in hockey our whole lives, that I think that part gets sorted out quickly. I think we usually have our meetings individually, with each player, go over their role, job description, so we all have a pretty good idea of what we're going to expect from you, or you can expect from me. And, from there, you got the team goals, the team, leadership, and you get that straightened out. I think that getting on the ice, that's where everybody's familiar with, and getting our team goals together, the systems. I don't think it needs to take that long, but I think you can tweak it as you go along. The bottom line is right off the bat, particularly early, trust your instincts as players and reinforce that as you go along, the little changes you want to make by individually or by alliance or teams.
Q, the Toronto Maple Leafs specifically have made some changes this year. From your point of view, they're a team with some potential for sure. What do you see out of them this year?
Well, they got a veteran team as well as a top end talented group. They've when they get the big guys and Matthews are going, they're a tough team to beat. I mean, he single-handedly could win games. And I think you can see them implementing a balanced attack, 4-line group. Look like they're a little bit stronger, look a little bit bigger as well. Their goalies have gotten off to big starts as far as they're big goalies, and they've both had a couple of strong games. But I think it looks like it's a contribution from across the board, a little bit more balanced as far as allocating ice and expectations, where the third and fourth lines have more of an identity. And but I think that's all about making everybody's contribution important to the team and gets noticed, and it can really galvanize a team as you go along in the season.
Q, if there's someone who knows what it takes to get the job done, I referenced it, 3 Stanley Cups in your career thus far. Do you think the Leafs currently constructed, have what it takes to take that next step to potentially win a cup? Like, do you view them as a contender right now?
Oh, absolutely. You look at the balance that they have now. I think there's a little bit more a little more personality on the back end defensively. I think when I say that, they're a little bit more physical. They're a little bit harder to play against, and I think that that's going to help that consistency of being defensively reliable all year long. Goaltending, I think that's always a work in progress. I think that's always a strong discussion, and so I think that that's a wait and see. But with Hall's health and the other two goalies that came in, I thought they big and they did a good job. So that's there's never enough. You know that you're not too many teams are going to have that type of ability up front, and take advantage of that as you go along, as it being one of the strengths. But and Craig knows how to win. He knows how to compete. He knows how to get the most out of players. I think they respect him a ton. So I think that they got, they've gone through some really great years and highly disappointing endings. And I think there's not too many teams obviously are happy at the end of the year. But I think that should be incentivizing the whole group that hey, nothing's more important than how we play in the playoffs, but still got to get there. And I think that'll be the motivate them over the course of the season.
Yeah, you mentioned the goaltenders there, Joseph Woll. I think the expectations are high. He can be a high quality goaltender. The injuries and the proneness to injuries has kind of been his knock. And lo and behold, before the puck even drops, he goes down. How frustrating is that for a coach? And is there anything you do behind the scenes as far as, treating Anthony Stolarz differently? What's your approach to that when you're running into those issues?
Well, goalies, they're, the nice thing is now we have a goalie coach. And I think that rapport is paramount as far as dealing with them individually. I let the goalie coach, no matter who we've had, I've had many of them, that they're one-on-one working with them. I rely on that. I don't go near them technically and any stuff like that. As a coach to a goalie, I'd make them and try to incentivize them, knowing that, hey, this is what we expect at the beginning of the season. You're going to play X and X, but hey, things change. Performance is going to sometimes comes into play. So we try to do it that way. And, you got a young goalie here and whether he's hurt or he's not hurt, I think that you kind of got a fair idea at the start of the year, but the goalie coach to me is that communication that they have. But there'll be no surprises as you go along when you tell them basically what you expect at the beginning of the year, and you reinforce it regularly as a coach. But the ongoing daily stuff with the goalie coach, I think that really keeps the goalie in the right place.
In general, Q, what's your stance on the crease? Because I think it's become so volatile. Like, for example, somebody coaching Sergei Bobrovsky for a long period of time, people are like, oh, crap, that contract was an albatross. Then he wins the cup, and like the narrative around him is so different. Now we're hearing whispers and rumors that Igor Shesterkin could sign a deal that pays him $12 million per season. Do you have like a stance on paying goalies and how you like your goalies?
When it comes to pay, I kind of stay away from all that stuff. I think that the managers and whether it's players or managers or personnel, it's a thing that I don't care how much they make. I know that's always a part of when you do the math. At the end of the day, it's part of your team. But I think goalies, you got to have a good goalie, and goaltending is so important. You can always say at the end of the year, the best goalie has a great chance of winning the championship, or the hottest goalie that playoff run usually wins. And I look back to when we won the championships, the best goalie in the series those series won. So I think that it has a lot to do with it. I can't say enough how the importance of goaltending means to your team.
Q, it's no secret the Toronto Maple Leafs power play is struggling like crazy. It was abysmal in the playoffs, and they've started off much to the same this season. In all your experience, you've seen it all. What do you do when something's running as dry as the Maple Leafs power play is right now?
Well, you can try to change things up, and you look at last year Pittsburgh. You bring in the defenseman from San Jose, and all of a sudden they're expecting the greatest power play in the world. And so I always find that when things are going bad on a power play, I always call it, say, political. Like you got your group that's who's on the power play, how much time are they allowed on the power play, who's got to touch it last before you shoot it or pass it. And so that, that comes to be a little bit stale over time. And just trying to change that up a little bit so that predictability or that expectation that you're going to get and rewarded in that area. And then you might have to take that away or not. But it's the players know how to do it and how to run it. Sometimes just trying to run some drills there before. When I say drills, some dry runs on what they're trying to do on the different routes. I think simplifying is always a good answer. Shoot the puck. Don't have to be fancy when it goes stale. Be greasy. Be relentless like the penalty killers are going to be. And if you start out working them, sometimes you get some ugly goals. Something to do to change the momentum of it because that mindset is not healthy for their team and costs hockey games. But over the course of the season, it's going to be ugly for stretches or games. And, just working on it and keeping positive on the outlook of it. And it'll always come around.
Of course, you're fortunate enough to have Duncan Keith run your power play for a significant amount of time. I think with the Leafs power play, I think they're lacking a shooting threat. And Oliver Ekman-Larsson takes over for Morgan Rielly on PP1. But we brought this convo up last week, how I specifically would like them to spread the wealth between the two units because they've actively been more open to playing PP2 as opposed to the past. How would you play it? I mean, do you think it makes sense to maybe split the big boys up between the two units?
I think every team's different as far as how's the second unit look to the first. But I think that, when they're out there, whether it's a minute or a minute and a half, I still think that the top unit's got to get at least a minute. And then you could argue whether you're going to be out there 150 like an OV or do you want just a strict minute? But I think that we always try to do that at the beginning of the year and give everybody kind of a fair shot to see if we can get two units going. And then sometimes a second unit gets hot and you play them first, and that really gets everybody wound up. And that's all part of it. But I think that sometimes it's a healthy type of competition to have. And but the top players today, they're I don't want to say they're demanding or expecting, but you got to make sure that these guys are happy.
Q, when we talk about Mitch Marner, he's a polarizing character on this roster, no question, with opinions all across the board as far as his value and place on this team. As a head coach, does having a guy like him in limbo, does that bother you? Would you rather have him locked up, or does that kind of thing even matter to you as a head coach?
No, it doesn't matter. I try to stay away from those individual needs. I know that some guys are in that contract driven year and they're they play their best hockey. Some guys can't handle it as well. You got a whole team every year. You're going to have 2 or 3 or 4 guys in a different place. So you can't really worry about that stuff. I think that the managers or their agents have a lot to do with sorting that stuff out, and the players should be, try to stay away with that thinking going into a game that's going to be on your mind. The simpler that part of it, and stay away from bringing that part into the dressing room, is going to be healthier for your team. But every year you got different guys that are going to be in that situation or something similar to that. And, just have a positive outlook as a player. It should incentivize you to be consistent and show that, hey, that's only going to help you down the road as well as you play.
What do you make of this whole trial run and then stops and starts with Willie Nylander? It happened last year, trying him at center. It lasted 2 games, and they tried it again here in training camp, lasted 2 games. Do you think it's the last we see of it? Why do you think there's been so many stops and starts with it?
I'm not afraid of trying to do things differently. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having more guys that can take faceoffs or play the center position. If you have 2 guys on every line that are comfortable playing center, I think that's healthier down the road, and whether a need basis or a situation in a faceoff or somebody gets thrown out. I think everybody has different priorities as far as when you look at making up lines. And I think that your personnel dictates making those decisions. But when we do try different things, I'm one that doesn't like to stick with it too long. If it's not working, we'll try something else. And there's nothing wrong with going back to it and giving it another shot.
Ryan Reeves on this team, it's going to be interesting, in my opinion, to see how he's deployed under Craig Berube. What's your philosophy with a player like that in this day and age?
I think the game's changed the last 3 or 4 years. I think you got to be a hard team to play against if you want to win a championship. You know, I think the team toughness is important, sticking together. You know, they've got some top end guys that, you know, you want these guys comfortable playing no matter what the situation is. I think Ryan, with his experience, he knows that type of part of the game. And I think he knows the team and the players and recognizes the timing of all that stuff. So he's a pro at it. And I think it seems like there's a greater need for it in today's game. Need, or whether it's a need or it's you almost have to have it.
Yeah, I want my team to kick some ass. I love it. Q, we'll wrap with this. Your day-to-day operations, you're reinstated. What are you looking for in your next coaching job?
Well, first things is, you know, it's got to be a good situation with going to knowing that initially walking through the door as an organization, talking a little bit about what I went through and the learning and the how we want to handle these type of situations will be priority. Looking at teams that have a chance to be successful, more so a team that's got a chance to be a playoff team and a chance to win would be teams that we'd be looking at stronger.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.